Hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from rSpace. Every kind gesture was a line item, every supportive word an investment, and he was just the infrastructure behind her personal, sleep your way to the top strategy. Today on rSpace, we're watching the ultimate merger, love and trust acquired, then liquidated for career growth. Discovered my wife was cheating on me with executives at her company. I've made sure her career will never recover. People talk about women sleeping to get ahead in their careers, and because everyone is so politically correct these days, it is such a bad thing to say out loud, as if it isn't the kind of thing that happens in the real world. I've never felt so strongly about it, until recently, because I've found out that my own effing wife is one of these people who sleeps to get ahead. I don't know how long it has been going on, but I know that I've been sleeping on the same bed with this woman. I've been making love to someone who has been consistently cheating on me without a single bit of remorse. I feel so disgusted by myself, and I resent her so much for all of this. The very worst part is that I supported her through the master's program that got her this same job. Not just morally, but financially too. And when I say financially, I mean quite a lot of money. I did it because I loved her and I wanted us to both grow together. I wanted us to be comfortable financially, and I knew that the degree would take her closer to the career that she really wanted. People told me it was stupid to support her to that extent back then because we were only engaged, we weren't married. I got married to her anyway, so it never felt like I hadn't made a mistake. But now I know I did. I just had to wait a very long time to see that for real. I don't know if she cheated on me purely for the career benefits, or if she did it just because she was looking for an outlet and people in her company just happened to be there. We're both 31. There's nothing I need to be a good husband that I don't have. I've been doing awesome in my career. I eat healthy and I go to the gym all the time. I take care of her and show her love. It is really tough for me to see a single place where I fall short. Even if there was an aspect in which I'm not sufficient, she would have, or should have, communicated it to me, so I can do what I can to be better. People say that cheaters don't need a reason to cheat, and I shouldn't blame myself, but I'm sorry. In this case, I can't help but think there is something I could have done to stop this. Everything I have is going to change now. I want to believe that I wasn't entirely helpless because I hate helpless situations. My wife has always been a fan of the corporate scene. I don't know if it is the fault of shows like Suits and the likes that glamorize it, but she knew that was what she wanted to do, whether it was in finance or marketing or whatever. There was no reason for me not to support her, so I did. She wanted to do a master's. I was by her side through every step of the application, and when it came to finances, I played a big role in helping cover them. At least 50% of the fees came out of my pocket. A few months after she graduated, she was able to get a job at a much bigger company. It's a multinational, and there's room for career growth. So it was exactly what she wanted. It's the kind of job where people wear suits to work on a daily basis. Her income increased by a lot when she started at that job, and since we're family, that was a perk for me. It meant that making a car and house payments became a lot more sensible. We could even start making a few investments here and there. I was actually really grateful for the position that we had found for ourselves in, and when she began to get some promotions, I really believed it was because the person I had married was incredibly smart. I was so stupid to think that was all it was. She's been cheating on me with her bosses at work. That's how she's been climbing up the career ladder. It's the kind of thing that if you say to a woman under regular circumstances, you're a misogynist, but that's literally what it is in this case. It's a woman who is cheating on me with the bigwigs in her workplace because she's looking for favors. A job I essentially helped her get. It's doing my head in. The worst part is that it isn't even just one person, but I know that she's sleeping with at least two of them. She's always been pragmatic, and it's making me laugh how she's even applying that to sleeping her way to the top. It only took one event for me to get suspicious. She came home late, and she hadn't mentioned that she'd be getting back late before that, which was already odd. She claimed she forgot, and I didn't want to make a big deal of it, but when I smelled that there was some alcohol on her breath, I knew that there was a lot more to the situation than what she was trying to let on. I asked her about the alcohol, and she claimed that they had shared a few drinks at work. She claimed that it happened a lot among the people working late, and most of the time, she never bothered partaking, but she just decided to this time around. I pointed out that she drove home, and that was very reckless. She defended herself by saying that she really didn't drink much alcohol, so it wasn't a big deal. She still had all her cognition and whatever. I didn't want to focus on the drinking because I didn't think that was the reason she hadn't told me she was going to be working late. I asked her if there was something that she wasn't telling me, and her response was very aggressive. Like what? I already told you, I just forgot to mention it. I didn't bother pushing the issue beyond that point because it became very clear to me that she was going to continue to act defensively. but there was certainly something that had happened that she was never going to talk about. The moment I stopped arguing with her, I knew that I was going to have to check her phone and her emails to figure out what was going on. I had to wait until she was asleep, which came earlier than usual because she had been drinking. Plus, from my years with her, I know that she sleeps even more deeply once she's been drinking, so I wasn't too anxious about going through her messages carefully. The first place I went was her emails though, because she corresponds with almost everyone through her emails. She thinks it differentiates her nicely, which it does to an extent. I mean, she won't use emails when asking about their groceries, but if she's making plans with anyone, she prefers to do it over email. Although most of them looked innocuous, I noticed that she had emails with her boss under the subject line R&R. When I opened the thread and went through the messages, it was them arranging meetups. They would send 3 or 4 emails, and then the next one in the thread would be months or weeks after that. It was always minimal, just giving locations and times. You don't have to be a genius to know that they were arranging meetups. There was nothing official about the emails. There was nothing to convince me that the emails were them organizing anything that had to do with work. It was the two of them organizing their own meetups. I hoped that I was going to find something that would make it clear that they were meeting up to sleep with one another, but there was nothing of the sort in those threads. I tried to see if the two of them shared messages on any other platform, but there was nothing I could find. When I went to check the other messaging apps, that was when I saw that she had Telegram installed on her phone. Sure, she talks with quite a few people there, but I noticed another name there, which I recognized as one of the people she works with. She's mentioned his name, and she always says that he's such a prick. But when I opened the messages, they were talking like everything was fine between the two of them. A lot of it was them talking business, but I knew something was up because he called her babe a lot. She didn't tell him to stop, and even though she's told me a lot about him, she's never mentioned that he's the kind of person who creeps around women in the workplace. When I read through the entirety of their messages, which I took my time to do, it became clear that she had a similar setup with the other guy that I had seen in her emails. The other guy, I'll just call him Gabriel, was a lot more explicit in his texts, so it was obvious that they were sleeping together. At one point in their text, she said, "Thank you for bringing my name up in that meeting." Even if it wasn't a formal arrangement, it was clear that she was getting favors for sleeping around with higher-ups. She's a beautiful woman, so I'm not surprised that they'd want her, but I'm surprised that she's actually directly involved in the whole situation. And please, don't come at me with stories of how she might have been coerced since they're her bosses. You're not wrong to say that, but not only did she not mention this to me, her husband, she's been indulging in these affairs for months, getting something in return, and there's not even the mildest protest from her in any of the records. She's still cheating on me, no matter how much you want to take her side. I've documented all the messages and emails. I'm going to make sure they play a massive role in divorcing her, but I'm also going to make sure that I use them to ruin her life. I don't want her to be happy if I can't be happy. I know I just sound like an angry man, but I'm genuinely very broken by the way this played out. Because as much as I resent her now, she is someone who I loved deeply. I really did love her, but I can't do that anymore. I just can't. Update 1. I took a little bit of time before confronting my wife. I know that the moment I did, nothing was going to be the same again. I wasn't scared to do it, but I just wanted to savor the last bit of normalcy that my life was going to have. In the end, I pulled the trigger and confronted her about her cheating. I was recording the entire conversation because I felt like she was going to try to lie her way out of it, and I wanted to know that everything was documented. I confronted her on a weekend because that's the only time that both of us are guaranteed to be at home pretty much all day. I had printed out the emails, and I just dropped the stack on her lap. She looked through them, and I saw her face change when she noticed what they were. I never knew that women actually do this, but the first thing she said was, "You went through my emails?" As if that was the worst crime than cheating on me. I told her that she had to explain herself to me instead of making excuses. She took almost a full minute to think of what she wanted to say, and then finally she said that I was taking the emails out of context. "What do you think is happening in these emails? Because you clearly have the wrong idea. There's nothing wrong with any of these emails." I knew that she was going to gaslight me, so I wasn't surprised at all. If I'm wrong, tell me what is happening. Explain it to me. I don't know that I need to say what I think is happening first. She paused again, but then she claimed that the emails were simply her and her bosses planning the locations for hangouts for those on his team. When they did well at work, they'd go and hang out for a bit, and she and her boss did a lot of the organization. My first question was why she had never told me about any of those hangouts. She claimed that she essentially never went for them. She said that the days she had forgotten to tell me she had been coming back late was one of those days. I pointed out that she mentioned it happened at work, not at an external location. She claimed they had planned for it to happen somewhere, but plans changed at the last minute, so they just did it in the workplace. My next line of questioning was why they always happened in hotels. Hotels have bars and restaurants, don't they? That tone pissed me off, as if I was asking a dumb question. I know that, but every single session they had arranged had been at a hotel. It was never a fine dining restaurant or an upscale bar. I knew she was lying, and she knew I knew, but she kept trying to make her point make sense. Eventually, when I got tired of her trying to slide past the situation, I handed her the second stack of papers, which had her text with the other guy at work, Gabriel. That one caught her off guard. The texts were a lot more explicit, so there was pretty much no wiggle room for her. She tried to mumble a few excuses, but I genuinely didn't pay them any mind. I already knew that she was lying, no matter what she chose to say. I spelled it out for her. She had inappropriate relationships with at least 2 people at her workplace to get favors in return. She had hidden it entirely from me, and when I confronted her, she tried to gaslight me. The first thing she tried to deny was the claim of sleeping her way to the top. She didn't deny the cheating herself. When I pointed that out, she claimed I was reading too much into it, but I know that I wasn't. I let her know that there was really no other way that our relationship could end. It was going to end with a divorce, and it was going to come soon. At that point, she went straight into begging. She was begging, saying that she didn't cheat. She claimed nothing inappropriate had happened. I said nothing to her, and after a while, without me even doing anything, she admitted that she had cheated, which I was glad to get recorded, but that it hadn't been anything real. There were 0 emotions attached to it. It was just physical, and for the help that it brought to our family. I knew she had no conscience when she said that. I let her know that I needed her to move out of the house. She didn't deserve to stick around after what she had done, but she refused to leave. "It's my house too." It sounded like a toddler. In the end, I haven't been able to get her to move, which actually sucks because I'm living with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I've had her served with papers. In fact, I had it done at her workplace, which she really didn't appreciate because she was fuming when she got back home. We had a shouting match, which was full of the usual nonsense, but I did get the chance to say a lot more on my mind. I've been bottling up a lot of those emotions, and if she'll continue to give me a chance to release them, then that will help me too. The only thing I can do is hope that the whole divorce phase goes without a hitch. I have a close friend who is a divorce lawyer, and he's going to represent me. The problem is that I've heard so many horror stories from him. Women go insane once you say you're letting them go, even when the original issue came from them. It's very baffling. I won't let her ruin my productivity at work or my mental health. I'm going to keep forging on at work. It's a good way to get my mind off of her and her nonsense. Update 2. I managed to survive a long and painful dance with that one woman, and I think that's enough to test me for a lifetime. I have no interest in entering that arena for a very, very long time from this point on. I'm officially divorced now, and as much of a headache as it was, it came with a lot of relief at the very end. The divorce process itself wasn't the best part of this whole thing. That was relatively basic. She earns a lot of money and so do I, so there's very little sense in us trying to battle things out over alimony. The house is probably the biggest concern, and as much as I wanted to keep it for the stability, the court awarded it to her. Why? I have no idea. It's just the way these things go, and it sucks. But I took the L. I got the money for my cut of its value, and we also liquidated some of our investments and split the money between the two of us. So I wouldn't quite say that I'm in a poor position. I'm just still pissed about the house not going my way. I needed the divorce to be done before I could do what I wanted to do next. I've been reading the posts here far too long to let the emails and texts I had go to waste. Especially since I also had a recording where she pretty much admitted to the cheating. I found an email address and sent everything to her company. There were 2 executives sleeping with a junior employee. Obviously, that's not a good look for them. I was told that it was going to be investigated, and after that, I just had to wait. It made her so mad. She was a big part of the investigation, and the day that they reached out to her to ask some questions, she called me to curse me out. She said she knew it was coming, but she hoped that I wasn't going to be petty like that. She's the one who brought the petty out of me. She called me all sorts of names and told me that she better not catch me outside. That was funny because she doesn't ever talk like that. Eventually, the investigation concluded. I really hoped that all 3 of them were going to be kicked out, but that wasn't what happened. They got rid of her and Gabriel. They left the other executive, probably because he's very highly ranking, and they were able to do whatever they needed to do to protect him. As much as they favored her, she was disposable to them. I guess Gabriel had to go for the sake of equality. It'd be a problem if only the most junior person was kicked out in such a situation. When I heard, I was ecstatic. I love the fact that she's now going to be treated like a live grenade in any serious company. Nobody wants someone who brings scandals with them. That's the kind of person she'll be known as now. She was really pissed off at me. Very, very Pissed off is a mild way to put it. She sounded like she would have lunged at me if I was nearby, but since she had no idea where I lived, I had fun rubbing it in. I became the most immature version of myself and I loved it. I'm going to focus on living a bachelor life from now on. I managed to escape this one mess of a woman, and I have no urge to take on another. Supporting her through a master's degree, helping with school, celebrating her career milestones, believing you were building a life together. It wasn't just ignored, it was exploited. Every ounce of trust and love you gave became a stepping stone for her ambitions. Sleep my way to the top wasn't a metaphor for her. It was a deliberate strategy. And when confronted, she gaslights, denies, and twists everything to her favor. Which makes it even more infuriating is how calculated it all was. The hotels, the texts, the R&R emails, every detail planned to keep you in the dark while she climbed the ladder on your dime and your devotion. Have you been in a similar situation? Put them on blast in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.